Ambulance, 75-year-old male, back pain. It's 211 Silver Hollow Road.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and build update number 2 of our Mobius models 1967 Ford F-100 service bed rescue squad truck. Now the guys are finally finished with a hard day today, so they're having their pizza, but we're going to break this party up so we can start going over some of the stuff we got done this week. It has been busy. Oh, sorry guys. Even knocked over the pizza. It has been busy. Let's start with the detailing of the engine. Let me bring it down here. Wow, so you can see everything we did. And I'm going to even bring it up and we'll tilt it. We got our oil filter in. I panel lined that after I painted it orange and let it dry for a couple of days. The fuel pump's in. The hoses run all the way up and around and into the side of the carb. Our distributor is in. The coil's in. Everything's wired. Everything's run to the proper wires too. The firing order is correct. I wrote everything down so that, where is it? There you go. Wrote everything down so I could follow along. You think I would do better than that. But the firing order's right. Starter's in. I still have to make a bracket for my alternator. The alternator got the flat aluminum. The back got the titanium gold, and then I panel lined everything. The fan, I left the blue. I was thinking about going black, but it was already painted, so I left it go. I did have to notch the air cleaner on just a smidge more to fit that distributor, because I wanted to have the vacuum advance on there. And as you can see, the vacuum advance also runs around and into the carb. The PCV runs down around and into the base of the intake. Our vent is on. Heater hoses are in. Our throttle linkage is on. So everything's pretty much here that needs to be here. Got the heat vent going up so they can pull in some warm air in these cold winter days. But we haven't seen any of those in a while, have we? But I'm really happy with this. I did come back and go very lightly over this with sky blue, just to take that. It was almost black blue on the valve covers and a couple other places. So I went over the whole thing real quick, and then I came back and panel lined it, and I'm happy. Dipsticks in. I ran it up the front side just because that's the only place that it would fit. Couldn't go on the sides on either side, but I ran it down so it comes down around and goes into the oil pan in the front. Worked out good. So there's the engine. Let's put it back on the stand. It really doesn't sit on there very well because of the weight of the heater hoses. Next I want to talk about the dashboard. I decided to just hand paint the dash and not use the decals. There wasn't a whole lot of definition in the decals anyhow. Now, a friend gave me some photo etch for the inside of this. I want to save that for my next truck. Since I already had all this done, I'm going to use all that for the next truck. But it is some really cool stuff, and when we get into that one, I'll show you all that because it's really cool. But that's good enough. I still need to take a little panel liner and dab on my ignition key just to give that slot to where it shows up a little bit better. But not bad at all. Not bad. The door panels. This was so easy, it's not even funny. Remember last time you saw it, it was painted all red. Just boom, the whole thing. I came in and painted the black with the black acrylic paint that I always use. And that's flatter than flat can be. And then I came in after about 3 days and hit that with future floor wax. I'm showing my age here, with the quick shine, and that quick shine sucked into that acrylic paint and turned it that nice vinyl-y look that we got. And I like it. I'm not going to mess with it. This is a fire truck. They're going to be neat as a pin in here. This thing's going to get cleaned every time it goes out. So I'm going to leave this exactly the way it is. And then after I did that, I let it dry overnight, and I came back the next day with chrome silver and a brush. And I just painted that with the chrome silver. It stands up far enough to where it was no problem painting it whatsoever. So happy as heck with that. The seat has some dust on it, but I painted that just that mix of flat and semi-gloss, and I'm looking at it, and I'm not going to mess with it this time. It's going to be the rescue squad. It's going to be a newer rescue squad, so it's not going to have time to wear out anything. And I really like the color. Not sure if you can see that almost two-tone. I sprayed this pretty darn light because it's this tan grayish color. Is the color of the spruce. So I've sprayed it pretty light, and that kind of shines through and gives me a blending of colors that really, really looks sharp. I didn't have to quick shine this or anything. I just left it the way it is, and it's perfect. I'm going to leave it alone. So on to the next. We don't have a whole lot to cover, but it took a long time to get here. The back, I painted the backup lights and the brake lights with chrome silver. I drilled my holes for my LEDs, and my thought was to have them blinking. This one on, this one off, this one off, this one on, back and forth, with the brake lights and the backup lights, and kind of offset back and forth. And I was told you shouldn't probably do that with the brake lights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the brake lights and I'm going to run them at 50% of the LED's brightness. And that'll give them like a running light look. And then the backup lights, I'm going to run 50% also, but I'm going to wigwag the backup lights because I don't really have room on this case to add a red flashlight, but I think that'll look pretty cool. And shoot, I mean, this is all a custom built rescue squad for Hobbytown anyhow, so Tim just took the ball and ran with it. I'm not going to use the tailgate either, but I did paint the tailgate mount a chrome silver, and that kind of makes it look like it's a little grab bar to pull up onto the truck, especially when it's on the back here. I think that looks good. So, no, that's right. It'll drop in like that, and I think that'll look pretty good. Now I'm getting, there we go, like that. And that'll look good. And it matches up everything. So I'm good with that, and I'm going to leave that just the way it is. I haven't glued this onto here yet because I have to fish my wire through here, and I still have to drill my hole in the back so I can get the wires back into where the Arduino is. So that'll, sometime this week, I'll get the wires run. I will do a video on how I did the wires. It probably won't be a live action video, but it'll be I'll take a picture of it, do some work, stop, cut a video, telling what I'm doing, and then move on, because right now I don't have an overhead boom to be able to film while I'm working and keep my head out of the way. But it'll be good. And since I got this in my hand, tonight I painted the chrome for the hinges. I wanted to do those chrome just to give it a little bit of a life in the back, so it's not just one big bomb of red. and that's just chrome silver with a really, really small brush. And then the slam latches, I also painted around the outside ring first, and I did that with a very, my fine tip. I think it's an 03 brush, Hobby Lobby's basic 03 pointy brush. Dipped it in the chrome silver, and I came in at an angle and just used the edge, not the tip, but the edge of the brush, and I put it down and ran it, and then I worked my way around, dipping it as I needed to dip, and that kept me from messing up and getting it down on the red. These, I just really just had to take my time and do every single one, because there's a gap in between every other one. They're like a drop lock hinge. So there's a gap between every one. And then the 2 bolts that hold it to the frame, I painted them too, just to give it a little bit more life. I was given a bunch of decals for the fire trucks and stuff like that. And some of them are the gold corner. So we're going to, this thing's going to be so cool. And thank you again for putting up with me for, geez, oh, Peter, probably 3.5 hours today. My head's still swimming from everything I learned. I should have recorded it just so I can remember. Another thing I did today is kind of finished up the water bottle. I painted the top flat white. I painted the sides a mix of flat white and sky blue, and put them on, let it dry, and then came back with flat white and just kind of streaked it to give it that bottle effect. And I'm looking at this in the camera, and it's not showing it at all, but it sure does when you're looking at it. And then when I was done with that, I hit the whole shebang with quick shine. So I wish that camera would show that, because it looks a whole lot better than that. But now, for what took me, well, no, let's do this first, because I'm going to pull you out a little bit so that you can get this in the frame. Here's our diamond plate, and on the bottom I wanted to put the beams, I wanted to make them black, because this diamond plate's going to be the stainless, and these aren't. So they had to be painted so they don't rust. And now again, I am going to come back through here and dry brush some dirt on here. Not real heavy, but I'm going to do enough of it to where you can see it. So there's my diamond plate. And now for the last thing, and I'll let you go. This will be a short one tonight, I think. Let me dry you in a little bit here. I think I drew you out. I sure did. We'll grab the tires. There we go. The wheels are pretty much done. I use pastels to dirty up the treads, because I didn't want to sand these treads. The treads really look good. So I just used my desert tan pastel, and then the brown pastel over top of that. And that worked out really well. I painted it red to start, and then came in and I did all the lugs on the backs, and the lugs and the hubcap, or the bearing cap on the front, with flat aluminum. And then I added my valve covers. My valve covers? Where'd you get that? I added my valve stems to it. And if you see up here on this one, I added wheel weights to it. And I'll tell you guys what, if you're using the 0.3 millimeter solder, the valve stems and the wheel weights are so simple, but I think that makes a pretty decent standout. It's one of those subtle things that if you see it, you're like, hey, that is cool. But it's so easy to do. Drill your hole for your valve stem. Just drill it in an angle in there. Paint the rubber black. Cut a little tiny piece. Put it in there with super glue, and that's your valve stem. It was that easy. The wheel weight, what I did is I cut a tiny piece of that solder. I set it down on my cutting mat, not on my metal where I usually flatten out for doing dipsticks. but on the cutting mat. And I just took the flat end of my tweezer and pushed down into the mat, just flat onto the mat, and then took it and then flipped that over. And what that did is that gave me the flat piece where the tweezer pushed down, but it still left that a little bit round, so that you still have a little bit of roundish on the wheel weight. And I just put one. I was thinking about putting two on one of them just to be funny, but I just added one. These wheels didn't need balance that bad. But how about that for simple? It only took me a couple minutes, and then I took Mod Podge and I put a little tiny bit of Mod Podge on the rim, picked that up with a tweezer and just set it there and pushed it in place with a toothpick and let it sit, and it's not going anywhere. As long as you don't smack it, it's good to go. So there's a quick and simple way to do wheel weights too. So if you have that 0.3 millimeter solder that we're using for everything, you know, our fuel lines, our brake lines, our plug wires, it's about the perfect size. I'm using it for my linkages and everything else. If you got it for that, might as well use it for that too, because it's only takes a minute. So with that, we're going to dig back into the pizza. I'll let the guys have a couple of beers, and we're going to head out of here. So y'all have a great day and a better tomorrow, and thanks again for watching.